Hey, okay, so I wanted to post this because I've seen a lot, and this is just for the Facebook group, but I've seen a lot of questions and comments and postings about pronunciation. And most recently, it was about the short A sound in words like an and am and can. And someone had reached out, and I can't remember what the sound was that they were asking about, but the answer is really always the same. Kind of think of this as a framework or a template or a schema for problem solving when it comes to the way words are pronounced and phonics. Keep it simple. Always keep it simple and think like a kid. Like when in doubt and you're not sure kind of what to do or how to help, think like a kid, keep it simple. So think like they would. Let's say that the word is am or an or and or can. We know that short A says ah, and that's very different from ah, that whiny sound. However, the goal is to minimize the number of cooks in the kitchen. In other words, minimize the number of phonics skills kids have to learn, because every extra phonics skill is one more delay in their access to the code. And the goal is early and easy. We want them to have earlier access, easier, and faster. So the more phonics rules we add, the more the delay for kids who are thinking at a very basic level. You know, think of your kids who are eating their shoes and licking the carpet and lost in space. We want them to have access as fast as possible. So we don't want to add 1,000 different ifs, ands, ors, or buts to these phonics rules. If kids know that A says ah when it's being short and lazy, or that it says a when it's using its superpowers, let's think like a kid who sees a word like can, and they attack it as can. Now, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to go can to can. It's a pretty close leap there. It's not that hard. If they can get the word, let them get the word. It only complicates things to say, hey, I have a new secret. Look, sometimes when A precedes this letter, it's going to sound more like ah, or there's going to be a this. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. If they have two things to try, let them try those two things. If the probability shows that most kids can pick up the word using one of those two sounds, let them get the word and get on with it. Because the goal of phonics should always be to advance reading, not to teach phonics for phonics' sake. And that's where you see the pendulum having swung a bit too far in current times. Right now, because the emphasis is on phonics, and you know I'm all about phonics. I mean, I've been doing it for 20 years. Phonics it's the code, and you can't crack the code without the code. And Secret Stories is a code cracking tool, but it's also a tool for 5-year-olds who are not linguists, nor should they be, and they don't have their master's in speech pathology. There's a lot of research right now, and we're coming out with a lot of meta-analysis in conjunction with some case studies that support the most, I think, the most helpful findings and research showing that the linguistic aspect of phonics is not the driving force. Meaning we all have different dialects. There are different ways we pronounce things, just depending on whether you live in New York or Alabama. But if kids can get close enough to the sound and get the word, that's the goal of the game. It all stops there. You're good to go. If they've got the word, get on with it. Move. It doesn't matter where their tongue is if they get the word. The code is about reading. Reading is about learning. And that's the thrust that should be where we're all headed. Our eye needs to stay on the ball, and the goal of the game is get the word. The goal of the game is not how many ways can I make more rules to hit every single possible phonics skill. And I say this time and time again also with voiced and unvoiced S versus Z or TH, Z versus th. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for reading. If the goal is to read, whether they say tosses or hoses, they can still figure out the word. They can get the word. If your kids can get the word, you're good to go. You're golden. Move, read what's after that word. Don't get caught up in the weeds, because the weeds are where the delays fester. The weeds are why this process can take 3 to 4 grade level years to divvy out the whole code. Secret Stories divvies it all out in one. And it's because it's not phonics. It's behavioral related schemas. It's things kids already know, rooted in what they already understand. Being sneaky, having a crush, that you get hurt if you play rough, having to listen to your mom or your babysitter if your mom's not there. These are things kids already know. And by connecting what they already know to these abstract letter sound patterns, kids have this expert level to manipulate and navigate these sounds from most likely to next most likely in words they've never seen. But not if it gets complicated. Not if all of a sudden the A can say ah, or it can say eh, or it can say eh, or it can. You don't have to do all that because it's not about perfect pronunciation. It's about getting the word. So try to keep it simple. That's your first goal. When you come to a word like an or can or this versus with, think almost like a 5-year-old. Knowing what I know, knowing the secret that I know, how would I attack it? And if I attack it this way, would I get the word? If I attack it this way and don't get the word, what would I try next? And would that then help me get the word? Only when that doesn't work do you need another secret. And that's why there's something, for example, called thinking vowels. Because with a word like what or want or come, that's not a feasible fix. You know, the word come would be comb, C-O-M-E would be comb. That's not going to help. Comb is nowhere close to come. So kids have to have a way to switch gears. And that's why we have thinking vowels, where vowels just can't quite make up their minds. And they think, do I want to be long? Do I want to be short? And while they're thinking, that's the sound that pops out because it's that different. It does require some extra support in order for kids to flip gears and get the sound. But that isn't the case with this versus with, or that versus those versus path. All of those words kids can get just by going, and that's it. That's it. So keep it simple. Like, don't add an extra rule just to make a voiced and unvoiced version. It's not necessary. The only other reason that you would see a secret be bolstered with another alternative is if spelling is a factor. So for example, if the voiced and unvoiced S versus Z sound, because forever I'm asked, why is there not why is in the better alphabet S only taught as S and not Z? Because it doesn't matter. Because it's a pointless exercise to try to add an extra sound for kids to remember when they can easily get the word just by using the S sound. Will it sound a little different? Yes. Can they still get the word if they know the other secrets? Absolutely. If it affected spelling, yes, then there would have to be some sort of an add-on or alternative option. But it doesn't affect spelling, just like voiced and unvoiced TH has no impact on spelling. It's all about, can kids get the word? And if they can, you're good. Move. Move. Get to the goal of the game. Read the word, read the sentence, pull the information from that text. So I just wanted to toss this out because there's been so much conversation about it. And whenever I see like an extra secret created by a teacher who's so clever and so creative, and they even make a poster to go with it, but the extra secret's not needed. It's like a beautifully crafted extra cook in the kitchen. But that beautifully crafted extra cook in the kitchen is still one more cook in the kitchen. And we have to guard fiercely against anything that's going to slow down learner access to the code, because the more of the code they have, the more of a thinking framework they have to work through text and words they've never seen before. The less of the code they have, the less of the code they own to make their way through text. So the more they have, the more they know, the more they know, the more they ask, the more they ask, the more they get. And the goal of the game is to give them as much as possible, as soon as possible, through these backdoor channels. Anything that slows that down, we want to avoid like the plague. So even the cutest secret, if it's not needed, don't give it. Think like a kid. Try what you know a kid knows. If that doesn't work and they can't get the word, let me know. Because if it's something I haven't thought of, I'll make a secret about it. But chances are it's something that's easily figure outable. And you can work them right through it. And you can keep things super simple and keep things accessible to a 5-year-old while he's eating his shoe and he's licking the carpet. And that should be our baseline for instruction. So anyway, have a great night. Just wanted to pop on and say this, and I hope it helps.